Welcome back to our final main stage session. I could say we saved the best for last, but we've had a lot of really great bests over the last 2 days, but this is a pretty darn good finale. So our last session is titled Carrying the Lamp. Jack Kornfield is trained as a Buddhist monk in the monasteries of Thailand, India, and Burma. He has taught meditation internationally since 1974 and is one of the key teachers to introduce Buddhist mindfulness practice to the West. Trudy Goodman is the founding teacher of Insight LA in Los Angeles, the first center to combine training in Buddhist insight meditation and non-sectarian mindfulness and compassion practices, including mindfulness-based stress reduction and mindful self-compassion. Trudy leads retreats and workshops worldwide and is the voice of Trudy, the Love Barbarian, in episode 4 of the Netflix series Midnight Gospel, which I'm planning to watch this evening. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great session.
Thank you, Michelle. So yes, welcome to our closing session. This is a poignant moment at the end for this conference community. And what I'd like to do this evening is just shine the lamp on what I love, which is mindfulness and insight meditation. And I really feel passionate about this because it reminds us of our innate wisdom. And this is what we call the inexhaustible lamp of Dharma. It's a safe and reliable refuge of the wise heart. And it's really our birthright for all of us as human beings. It's our birthright. And, here at the conference, we've been exploring some of the advances in technology and how the human heart can advance to meet the challenge and opportunity of advancing technology. And, I take heart from this perennial human longing. Really, I think it's an eternal human longing to just feel connected, to be connected to something that is larger than our own egos, than our own self and the bubble of those, that which is familiar to us, the bubble of our familiars. And I think this is the forever next chapter for us as human beings. And so we're closing this wonderful conference by celebrating community, and especially, obviously the community of each other, but also the community of beings that reside in our own hearts. And I do want to give a shout out to the work of Dick Schwartz with internal family systems. It can be so helpful in this way for us to find some hospitable welcome to all the parts of who we are. And these parts, they're not always so great for us to see, but they are all parts that help us survive, including the racist parts that make us feel squirmy and uncomfortable and afraid to speak. And we just can't be silent about this any longer. We're seeing that it can't be ignored. Life is calling to us to put aside our discomfort and to speak up against racism and really against injustice of every kind. And it's really beautiful to see how Wisdom 2.0 is rising to that occasion, to that challenge. And, as we've sadly seen this past year, including this past week, this is a matter of life and death. It's that important. So how can we hold to a vision of what's possible for the human heart? How can we look at the seeds that we're planting as we go forward? Or maybe the lamps that we're lighting, whatever image works for us, but how to keep reminding ourselves of what's most important to us in this life. And, this gift of our capacity to love, our capacity to be aware, to be able to choose where we direct our attention in ways that nourish human life and grow our capacity to see more than we used to see, to be able to see that which was invisible to us before. I know for myself, seeing so much, particularly in this area of racism, but so much that was invisible, making this visible in our communities, so that we can feel connected and really empathize with the joys and sorrows of all beings. And Wisdom 2.0 is dedicated to this, to use our awareness, to use our wisdom, to align ourselves with the common good and receive the gift of community, because it's a gift that we receive. And the gift of community, the gift of consciousness, of life itself, as Tristan was saying earlier. Mindfulness of the community of beings in each of our hearts, it opens a space for connectedness and for leadership, for each one of us to inhabit leadership roles where we can create trustworthy spaces. You know, we can create spaces where humans can offer their infinite resourcefulness. And just by sitting together in a way that develops the light, the lamp of loving awareness, we can begin to activate this immense exponential power of human resourcefulness. John was talking earlier about the power, this exponential power, and we have this power in our resourcefulness, in our hearts. And this is a way that hopefully we can begin to hold our political and identity differences and the conflicts that they create in our organizations, in our families, in our world, in a way that doesn't unravel the civic community on which humanity depends. And we come here to this conference to honor this, to remember what's possible for the human heart and mind. And this next chapter is going to be about holding to this vision of what's possible, planting and cultivating the seeds. And when the aspiration, when the intention is to be in the heart, to really dwell in the heart, what is discovered, what we discover is that freedom lives right in that intention, that aspiration. It's actually independent of outcomes. We can have the most noble intentions, but we really don't control the impacts and the outcomes. Those can be quite different. But the aspiration itself, the intention itself, this is our ultimate human resource. And when it's combined with the humility to be present, to be loving, to be open, well, this is why we're here together in this life. So I actually would like to offer a practice that you can turn to anytime you feel you need a shot of courage and connection. So this practice, I call it the jelly roll because it's really sweet. Yeah, it's sweet. And so I want to invite you to, I think it's easiest to do with your eyes closed because it's a practice. It's not really a meditation per se, it's a contemplation, it's a visualization. So we're using our imagination to support the creation of the world that we'd like to live in. So I trust you're sitting comfortably. Invite you to just lower your gaze or close your eyes. To take a deep breath in, just breathing in the aliveness of this moment. And then breathing out. One more time, breathing in. And as we breathe out, releasing all the tension of being on Zoom, any tension in the body, in the mind. And just one more time, a deep breath in and out. So let's begin by inviting some beings, some human beings. It can be your pets too. And to this space, imagine a space around you, maybe arrange them. And I'll tell you the criteria for who you're going to invite. Just arrange them in a kind of semicircle around you. And invite people. The criterion is people or creatures who take pleasure in your happiness, who are just glad when something good happens to you. And you can't choose, people with whom you have no ambivalent relationship, or you won't have anybody in your circle. Just choose people who, when something good happens to you, they're glad for you. It makes them happy. So take your time inviting them, putting them in your circle. I said semicircle just so you can see them. And just celebrating the sometimes jumpy nature of the mind all over the place, and bring it back to inviting some beings who care about you. So first, invite the people that you feel closest to, your friends. It can be people who have passed away. I always put my parents in the circle, not because our relationship wasn't complicated, it always is, but because they definitely took pleasure. They were delighted when I was happy. So even though people may have been passed away a long time ago, they can still be there and support you. And now I want you to take a look one by one into the eyes of these folks and notice the warmth, the friendliness, the fondness, affection, maybe love that they are beaming out towards you. And just taking your time one by one, take it in. This is a practice of receiving what we call loving kindness, the warmth and connection of friendship and of love. And just noticing how it feels to take this in. And then when you're ready, I'd like you to invite like a concentric circle of beings. And these are all your teachers, all your mentors, and all the people at the conference. You might have put teachers and mentors in your inner circle, but this is going to be a very wide circle of everyone who cares enough to take the time, to set aside the time, to be in community in this way, in a community dedicated to wisdom and to love. Now, you can't go one by one with this circle, but you can feel the collective energy of well-wishing. And we can extend this to each other right here, right now. If you're still hanging out with the inner circle, that's fine. You know this bigger circle surrounds you. And then when you've kind of basked in the warmth of this larger circle, this community that's been created here together, you can imagine the circle of all beings, a vast circle too big to actually even visualize or imagine, or maybe you can, but just really extending the boundaries, opening the circle to include all beings, and just feel the gratitude for the benevolence of life, this boundless generosity of life. The shared breath of all living beings. And you can feel that vast circle as big as the whole wide world around you as you jump back into the inner circle. And one by one, offer a little bow of thanks to each person for their caring, for the way they share whatever gladdens your heart. If your circle's small enough, you can take time to give each one a hug and just let them dissolve into your heart. One by one, thank you for your caring and your love. I enfold you in my arms and draw you into my heart. You can place your hands on your heart, your chest, and just feel that warmth, that light of connection. Drawing on the strength of this community and the circle of all life. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes. Offering a little bow of thanks to yourself for doing this practice together. And now I turn it over to my beloved, who certainly in the center of my circle, to Jack.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for that. So sweet. And as I was listening to you, I remembered a day, maybe 15 years, 20 years ago, when I'd gone to see the theatrical production of The Color Purple on Broadway, courtesy of friend Alice Walker. I got a ticket. It was the afternoon show. And these buses started arriving from Philadelphia and outlying parts of New York City, mostly filled with Black women in their church hats and the most beautiful kind of outfits. And the theater filled, and there I was, and I was inspired and moved. And when it was finished, it felt like all of us wanted to get up and just march up, Broadway, Fifth Avenue, whatever, and change the world for freedom, for women, for beings, for everyone. There was something so thrilling, if you will, about being part of a work of art that reminded me of what was possible. And so you are now in that place, being at Wisdom 2.0, and there have been the celebrated teachers and the open-hearted poets and those who've both guided you in the conversations you've been in with one another on all these really compelling topics. How do we deal with the pandemic, and how do we find racial justice and economic justice, and how do we use our technology in a healing and a humane way, and so forth. And now it's time to go out and to carry what you found. And the culture doesn't necessarily know this very well, how to do it. You all understand that as well. It's easy to drift like a boat without a rudder. And what brings the rudder are a couple of things, what allows you to steer. And now I'm thinking of that big boat in the Suez Canal where they're trying to dig the rudder out so they can move it. The poet says, take the time to be still, to pause. It is the sweet oil that eases the hinge so the gate can swing open easily, the gate into the garden. And so maybe more than anything else, that sacred pause of meditation, of time, of walking in nature, in the mountains, in the paths around you, gazing at the plum trees in the spring now, or the magnolia, just to take time to quiet and touch in and nourish the heart. Another poet says, in the evening you will be examined. In the evening, when the sky turns the dark blue of exam books, you will be examined on love. At the end of the day, at the end of what matters, that's the real exam. And so what you've learned here at Wisdom 2.0 with all those presenters and presentations and dialogues and understanding isn't so much something new, but it's something that you already know and carry in yourself, as Trudy was pointing to. our teacher when we first met, Trudy and I and John Kabat-Zinn in 1972, I think it was, with De Sansanim, Sing San Sansanim, used to say, you already understand, you already know. Your heart knows. And it knows in small ways and in big ones. I read you a story. There was an elderly gentleman in his 80s who'd come into a clinic to get his stitches removed. And the nurse, who was very busy, said, you're going to have to wait. And he said, oh, I have an appointment I have to get to by 9. And she said, really important? He said, absolutely. So she said, all right, I'll pause. I'll take the stitches out, which she did. And then she said, was it a doctor's appointment he was trying to get to? And he said, no, he needed to go to a nursing home to eat breakfast with his wife. So the nurse inquired as to her health. And he said she'd been there for a while. She was the victim of Alzheimer's disease. And as we talked, the nurse went on, I asked if she would be upset if this gentleman was late. And he replied, she no longer knew who he was, that she hadn't recognized him in 5 years now. I was surprised, the nurse went on. And you still go every morning, even though she doesn't know who you are? He smiled, patted my hand and said, she doesn't know me, but I still know who she is. And then the nurse went on to say, holding back her tears, that's the kind of love I want in my life. And that's what we actually long for and know and can live from in ourselves, in that which is close and connected with one another. But we also long for it in our society. And I talked to Soren just before we came on, Trudy and I, noting how Wisdom 2.0 has blossomed in this 12 years from being a focus on technology and all the wild things of technology, but also all the wild, amazing new things, recognizing that all the technology that we have is not stopping continuing warfare and racism and climate destruction and tribalism, because these are rooted in the human heart. And that Wisdom 2.0 is now bringing social justice and care for the earth and these things together in the fore with our technology. So this was one of the last speeches of Robert Kennedy when he was running for president before his assassination. And here are his words. He was asked about his economic plan and gross national product. And he said, our gross national product does not include the beauty of our poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It allows neither for the justice in our courts, nor for the justness of our dealings with one another. The gross national product measures neither wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile. So in the smallest ways of that man going to see his wife in the nursing home, and in the visionary ways when you go forth from this conference, like I felt getting up from the color purple and just wanting to march out in the street and change things, and I still feel that. Your voice and your words can be a lamp, can be a candle, and one candle can light 1,000 others. Sometimes it's standing up for justice and telling the truth. That amazing moment when Joseph Welch in Congress spoke up to Senator Joseph McCarthy and all the year or two of those kind of terrible hearings that accused everyone of being communists. And he said, enough. Have you no sense of decency? And those handful of words changed everything. This is our time. We are on this earth to serve. We're on this earth to join with one another, to step beyond our fears, our separateness, to make, as Martin Luther King might have said, to change his words a little bit, a garment of mutuality, a garment of love, to create that in all the fields that we go back to. To do it, you do need to stop. You need to pause and listen and take the time to let the sweet oil open the hinges to the gate into the inner garden, to that place in the heart that knows these things you've heard, they're not new. They're reminders of what really, really matters to you. And now it's as if you're leaving the temple, even if it was a Zoom temple. It was still the temple of Wisdom 2.0. And along with taking the time to listen, to meditate, to pray, to open yourself to the unbearable beauty of life and its ocean of tears, to what makes up our humanity. The other thing that's so important as you carry the lamp is the intention with which you carry it. And Trudy, you spoke about this so beautifully. When the Dalai Lama wakes up in the morning, early at 3:30 to begin his morning meditation, he uses a prayer from Shantideva. May I be a lamp, a light, a candle to illuminate the darkness for everyone. May I be a bridge, a boat, a raft to help all cross the stream. May I be medicine for the sick and a resting place for the weary. May I be an inspiration for all those who've lost hope. And may I do so as long as space and time exist, so that all beings can be liberated together. Some little prayer like that. And it's beautiful because when you hear it, you can hear the nobility in it. And then you recognize that there's something in you that resonates and says, yes, this is really what matters. So I'd like us to do a little bit of a reflection, and I'll tell you what it will be, a little meditation. The first part will be to get quiet and to remember or sense 3 treasures that you are going to be carrying and taking from this Wisdom 2.0 conference. Moments that touched your heart, opened your mind, connected you with one another. Moments of inspiration or understanding or poetry or love. And then to set your own intention for that vow from Shantideva of the Dalai Lama. There is a modern version from the poet Diane Ackerman, where she writes, in the name of daybreak and the eyelids of morning and the wayfaring moon and the night when it departs, I swear I will not dishonor my soul with hatred, but offer myself humbly as a guardian of nature, a healer of misery, a messenger of wonder, and an architect of peace. And as you leave and as we do this reflection, you can make your own intention, and it doesn't have to be a big poem. It might be the simplest vow to say, I vow to be kind, or whatever it is that moves your heart. So let your eyes close gently again for a few minutes. And again, as you did with Trudy, take a couple or a few breaths. And breathing gently now. Let the eyes and face be soft. Loosen the jaw. Let the shoulders relax. and the arms and hands rest easily. And feel yourself resting on the earth, the weight of gravity, your feet and legs and buttocks, and how you can rest just where you are with the earth supporting you. You take your seat in this magnificent earth, in this human incarnation. And as you prepare to leave the temple of Wisdom 2.0 virtual, now let yourself reflect. What are 3 treasures, 3 gifts, understandings that you want to carry with you? You can know, you can remember. And if 3 is too complicated, you can do 2 or 1. But I think you'll remember moments that really mattered. And notice what it feels like to remember these, how they resonate in your body, in your being, in your heart. What you want to carry, you have within you now. And next, let a deep intention arise in your heart, a vow, a direction to set the compass of your life. If on this early spring day in 2021, with all that we've lived through, with our full humanity, and all that you've heard and touched in this community of Wisdom 2.0, you are now to make a vow, to set an intention. What would it be? Let yourself listen. You can know. And remembering your treasures and setting the compass of your heart with this intention. Let your eyes open, for you are prepared to go out into the streets and the forests, the community of beings in this world, carrying these treasures and carrying this sacred intention. And Trudy spoke about seeds. Thoreau put it this way. He said, I don't believe anything will grow if you have no seeds there. But convince me you have a seed, and I'm prepared to expect wonders. This intention is your seed. These treasures are your own. And the world is waiting for you to carry them, to water them, to nourish them. Let yourself envision where it is you will plant them. In your family, in your community, in the natural world around you. In the work that you do. Intention sets a direction for the heart again and again. L.R. Knost says, do not be dismayed by the brokenness in the world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention. So love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The beautiful world waits now in springtime for the light that you carry into this and onto this earth for all beings. Trudy, dear? Yes, I hope your eyes are open.
Thank you, Jack. That was beautiful. I love teaching together. I don't get tired of hearing you teach. It's beautiful. Thank you.
I like teaching with you as well.
So tonight is actually the first full moon of spring for everyone in the Northern Hemisphere. And, you know, the full moon, it's for millennia. The full moon has been a symbol of awakening, of enlightenment. May we all, may you, may I hold whatever parts are still hidden, whatever parts of ourselves are still hidden, to the welcoming light of this full moon.
Passover.
And I want to wish those of you who are celebrating Passover, Hag Sameach, Happy Pesach. This is the full moon of Passover, always falls on the full moon. The symbol of enlightenment, the symbol of the fullness of our hearts shining forth, the lamp of our hearts and the heart of the world, the heart of the universe. May you continue to choose gratitude and appreciation so that we can just see the blessings that surround us and appreciate this unconditional, as Jack was saying, this unconditional generosity of Mother Earth, of life itself, of the world that sustains us as we go forth from here. So as we close this conference, this next chapter, let's shine the light on this next chapter. And this is a quote from the Buddha. Go forth for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world, for the welfare and the good and happiness of beings. Find your way to share your Dharma, as John was defining Dharma earlier as bhavana, the cultivation of human development, which is beautiful in the beginning of life, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. And so I'm going to close and bid you adieu with a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye, a brief poem about, it's called Skin. Skin has hope. That's what skin does. It heals over the scarred place. It makes a road. Love means you breathe in many countries, and skin remembers. Even now, when skin is not alone, it remembers being alone and thanks something larger, that there are travelers, that people go places larger than themselves. So thank you all. Thank you, everybody.
Blessings to you. Carry your lamp. It's a pleasure to be with you and to envision you all going out there.
Thank you so much, Jack and Trudy. It was your presence and your talk had just so much love and so much heart in it. I know I speak for everybody, and just a deep bow to both of you. And how much actually I love being with you in presence, but it's also in physical presence, but it's also amazing what can emanate through both of you through these screens. And thank you for your commitment to life, to the Dharma, to your own development, to each other, to the world. It's been a blessing to know you and to feel like just the care in which you give everything. And I feel like the talk that you gave tonight with the poems and the exercises just had so much heart to it. So thank you so much for offering that to us.
Thank you, Soren, for the conference. Thank you for your work over these many, many years.
Wonderful.
Bravo. Really, bravo, Soren.
Yeah. Well, we are at that moment of time that we call closing, which is really, as Jack and Trudy said, it's not a closing, it's also a beginning. And it's a time that we're going to end one's reality and one way of gathering. And it's also a time in which you're invited to take this into your family, into your life, into your business, into every experience and every heartbeat you have left. I always love to say, like, how are we going to spend our limited heartbeats on the planet? And we only have so many, and we never know when they're going to end. And I think Jack and Trudy did a wonderful job of kind of helping us close, but also helping us open to whatever it is that is calling us. So I'm going to invite Michelle up with us to finish off. Michelle, any thoughts as we get to the end of these 2 days together doing the first ever Wisdom 2.0 digital online?
You know, my heart always goes out to everyone who joined us and to all of the people in this community behind the scenes and who attend, for bringing all of their heart and thoughts and intentions and aspirations and presence with us year after year. This conference doesn't happen without everyone who shows up so fully. So I'm just grateful
Wonderful.
for everyone.
And thank you for your beautiful job emceeing and holding the heart and wearing the heart on your chest.
Always.
So we know it's been a long day. We are going to be doing some more kind of smaller Wisdom 2.0s on different topics from trauma to business and other things. So we'll share that with you. And we're also starting something we're calling Wisdom Circles, where you can gather with local people in your area for community and connection and practice. So we'll be sharing those with you. And we'll also gather again, maybe about a week from now, if you're interested in more connection time and more shared learning. And we would love to hear from you what you actually took away from this event. So look out for an email where we can all meet together in about a week and just kind of download and share. Michelle had the idea of a closing of a shared breath. Did you want to guide us in that, Michelle?
Yeah, we've been kind of doing this throughout the conference. So one last time together, everyone who's still there with us, just taking a breath in, just breathing in together and breathing out, and just sharing this breath that we all share.
And, you know, one of the things I think COVID has taught us is that it's not my breath and your breath. We literally breathe the same breath. And that breath can transfer viruses that kill us, and that breath can transfer viruses that heal us. And so thank you so much for bringing your presence and bringing your breath and bringing your hearts. And we look forward to seeing you virtually and hopefully in person sometime soon. Stay safe, stay well, follow your heart. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
We love you.